This is Casual Babble. Good morning, you beautiful individual. Welcome back to the show. This is BC Babbles, and you're enjoying Casual Babble, the Queen City's live-streamed morning show and podcast, coming to you from Race City, USA. Before we hop in, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're enjoying the show on YouTube, hit the bell. That way you're notified about all future content on the channel. Just for a little update about content on the channel, the latest ASMR video, which was made available for Tier 2 and higher patrons on Patreon starting on Monday, is going to be going live for the public today at noon Eastern Time, so be looking out for that. Enjoy it tonight if you want to. Also, my latest vlog will be made available for Tier 1 and up patrons on Patreon today by noon as well, so keep a lookout for that, and be sure to enjoy. If you are not on Patreon yet, I'm going to be sure to put those links in the comment section here momentarily. So if you're looking for a way to support the channel, be sure to check out the Buy Me a Coffee and the Patreon links. Those will be here in the chat box on YouTube. Also, if you're enjoying the show on Podbean, do not forget to leave a comment, hop in the chat, say hello, and let me know where you're coming in from. But check out those links right there. Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee are available for you right now. Also, it's like my eye is acting weird this morning. So, all right, and as a part of our new kind of morning ritual, we are going to start off with our 7 daily affirmations, just to make sure we are all not only affirming ourselves, but each other. So here we go. Affirmation number 1 is you are inventive. Affirmation number 2 is your ideas are meaningful. Affirmation number 3, you are valuable. Number 4, you will not be left behind because you will pave the way. 5, you are worthy of love and success. 6, you are powerful. And 7, you are beautiful, and your beauty will transform you. Here we go. So be sure to let me know what your affirmations are in the comments. Let's affirm ourselves and each other. I'm not sure what's wrong with my eye this morning. It is bothering the crap out of me anyway. So welcome to Friday. And if no one's told you yet, I'm going to tell you, congratulations. I am proud of you for making it to Friday. We are at the end of the work week. And as we all know, making it halfway through the work week is not always as easy as people seem to make it look. But the fact that you're here, it's Friday, you made it, congratulations, I am proud of you. So today, let's kind of move our way into the day where we transition kind of out of work mode, but we still have to maintain the energy a little bit for the sake of getting through the work days. So I hope that you are well on your way into work, and if not yet, I hope that you are at the very least well on your way into getting dressed. Of course, if you have a work from home or remote job, congratulations. Be sure to get up and get your coffee or whatever kind of morning boost you use just to make sure you got the energy for the day. And I hope you are in a clear head and ready to hit the day today. I want to start off this morning with a little bit of a pretty cool article here this morning that I found on Entrepreneur. It's coming to you from Randy Garn, and it's titled, Your Fear is Lying to You, and Here Are 3 Steps to Overcome It. Very big element that we deal with as young professionals, and really professionals in general, is fear. You know, we have so many things that can give us pause, regardless of what part of our journey that we are on. So it could be anything from fear of trying to apply for a new job, fear of going into an interview, fear of, you've just gotten the job and you're going in for your first day of training. So maybe there's a fear of whether or not you'll actually be able to be successful in this new environment with this new team. Will you actually be able to show whether or not you have these skills that you told them you had, that they understand you to have, when you're entering this new environment. So why we feel fear? Why do we feel it in the first place? It's a deeply embedded biological response. Neurons fire, letting us know we're in an uncomfortable and unfamiliar situation, putting us into a sympathetic, sorry, just lost that. Well, that was rude. This ad popped up in the way. But it puts us it occurs because we're in a space that we're not familiar with. And so it triggers this, do I fight? Do I fly? What should I do from here? But one of the problems we have here is actually that we've been taught how to combat fear incorrectly. Randy goes on to say, you know where your fear comes from, but guess what? It's still present in your day-to-day life. Are slogans going to help? Quote, feel the fear, take the leap, right? No way. Square your shoulders and be the man, fat chance. This masculine approach is powering through fear, but not only unhealthy, but 100% effective. Hold on one sec. Sorry. So Randy says going about it with the mindset of, quote, feel the fear and take the leap, or square your shoulders and be the man, is not only trying to power your way through the fear, which is unhealthy, but it's also 100% ineffective. So the question is, how do we overcome the fear correctly? He says, now here's the most important part. In Tracy's words, and he's alluding to, let's see here, Tracy, my goodness, you'd think I would have found the name. Anyway, so he says, information without application is useless, but information with application is transformation. I'm going to say that one more time. Information without application is useless, but information with application is transformation. So how are you going to tell me that it's so? So he's referencing Tracy Litt, who is a transformational coach. These are her words that he is quoting here. So again, one more time for a third time. So information without application is useless, but information with application is transformation. So let's help you transform your fear into power and give you some wonderful tips that will enlarge your ability to expand and succeed. First, really important, notice your fear. That is the prerequisite for doing anything other than work intentionally. Allow yourself to non-judgmentally understand what fear is keeping you from doing. Why is your power being abdicated to fear? Notice the moments it keeps you from acting. Secondly, create safety. Our fear response combats unsafe situations by employing self-doubt and other negative neurological responses. We should start to breathe in a deeper, lower cadence, 4x4x4x4 breathing. We start to place our neurological feet back on the safe ground, allowing our conscious mind to take over and make powerful decisions. Thirdly, get to know and learn how to communicate with your higher self. This isn't woo-woo or like crazy stuff like that. Your higher self can be described as who you want to be in 5 years. So not necessarily this tall, esoteric, metaphysical version of yourself, but simply, you get asked the question all the time, where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years, and you have some kind of picture, maybe not exactly what you want to be doing, but you have an idea of what kind of space that future you want that person to be in. So think forward to that version of yourself. For me, my future self goal is to be in a position where I'm getting to not only facilitate healthy work environments where I have teams working under me that are well structured, that they have really good harmony. There's a good kind of psychological vibe between all of my employees where they are happy to come into work. They are happy to come in and work with each other and facilitate this really productive space. That's my higher self within this context. So thinking forward to that future version of myself and trying to understand the steps it will take from here, where I currently am, to reach that version of myself in the future. The better you can understand who that person is and how they act, the easier it is to envision yourself acting similarly in the present. Then you can make more quickly, step out of fear and into consciousness, confident decision making. I'm going to include the link to this article in the chat section, so be sure to check it out whenever you have a moment here. Woody Bush says, good day from British Columbia. How you doing? Thank you for hopping in. Hope you're doing well this morning. I'm doing pretty well myself. Thank you. Putting this also into the YouTube chat. The article here, again, this is from, let's see, the writer's name is Randy Gorn, Randy Garn. And again, a lot of the quotes he mentions in this article is from transformational coach Tracy Litt. But yeah, go ahead and check out that article this morning. Big Guy Cast is what's up. How you doing, Big Guy Cast? Doing pretty well here in Ray City. Thank you so much. Let me know where you're coming in from. All right. Found another interesting article that just grabbed my attention by the title 100%, and so I had to share. This is coming to you also from Entrepreneur, and the article writer is Gabrielle. I'm going to kind of butcher this last name, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to say it's Bianash. I'm not sure how the SZ always creates. I'm not sure what that sound that always creates, but the title here is "This Guy Did the Same Thing on TikTok for 200 days straight to land his dream job on CSI." That is insane. So what did this person do here? In his TikToks, Nally tries to dies, unalives in creative places like cornfields and under a Hardy sign, and counts how many days he's been doing this. Quote, "Until I am cast in a movie or TV show as an unalive body," he writes on his videos. Essentially, he's counting down the days, or counting down the number of days he's doing this until he finally earns his place as an unalive version of a person in a CSI show. And just in case you're not familiar with the unalive phrasing, that's just a way in which TikTokers are using the word for dead, essentially. TikTok is not a huge fan of the word dead in really any of the commentary or the text of their videos, so people get around that by saying unalive. So yeah. Big Guy Cass asks, so what's the show about, man? So Cass, we are talking about different news articles. Well, right now we're talking about different news articles that can cater towards the unprofessional. The show is about discussing the culture of the unprofessional, and in a little while here we'll talk about some submissions from the audience. They've got questions, stories, and some office gossip to share, and we'll discuss kind of ways in which they can navigate those environments. So thank you for hopping in this morning, Cass. If you're able to, keep enjoying the show, and yeah, thank you for stopping by. Let's see here. The New York Times reported that Nally got outreach from CBS around day 200. He also told the outlet he decided to do this video series due to boredom, quote unquote boredom, saying, "I was spending a lot of time on TikTok and trying to figure out what I could do to get on TikTok and maybe get in a movie with as little effort as I thought would be possible." On day 321, he announced that he had been cast by CBS in CSI Vegas. Nally told the outlet that CBS emailed him saying that they saw him on TikTok and wanted to give him a role. He will be in an episode that will air on Thursday, November 3rd. So I guess we should hop onto CSI, whichever. Are they on Hulu right now? I'm not sure what network. Well, CBS obviously, but as far as I don't have traditional broadcast TV anymore. So hopefully it's on Hulu. Would it be on Hulu? And we can just watch that day later on November 4th. But yeah, literally there's a video of him that came out recently where he is an unalived body on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He's right next to, let's see here, I can't tell whose star that is. But yeah, he's been doing this for quite a while, and he got his first dream role on CSI as an unalived body. That's pretty awesome. Again, those two articles came from Entrepreneur. I'm going to put the article from the one I just mentioned about Mr. Nally, who got his dream job as an unalived body on CSI, here in the chat. Those are in there now, so be sure to check those out whenever you got a moment. But yeah, pretty fun stuff this morning. I'm pretty excited to hear those few bits. Really important. I love that article about fear and why we experience it and how we can go about trying to subvert it. Well, not subvert it. That'd be kind of the wrong term, because we don't want to. Because subvert, I guess, means kind of ignore, but as they said, that's unhealthy and 100% unproductive or ineffective. So not subvert fear, understand it, and I guess understand how to go through it, bypass it, or at least break it down so it doesn't have as much of a hold on us as we tend to think it does, right? But other than that, if you're enjoying the show, if you're listening right now or watching the show right now, let me know how your week's been. For me, it's been a little bit of an up and down. I've been working on trying to find some new activities to work with here. Just trying to be very productive. I mentioned in the last episode that, I'm currently collaborating with some really awesome friends of mine that I met earlier this year. We met during a podcaster networking event at Huga. I mention Huga all the time on here. And we are putting something together that I'm super excited about. My group that I'm talking about includes Tracy Massey. She's a grief coach. She's been on the show before. She had a really awesome outfit on, so go check that out if you haven't seen it before. And we have 3 other friends, aside from the 2 of us, that are involved in this collaboration group. And I think what we're putting together and what we're going to be hoping to launch by kind of spring of next year is going to be really exciting, really fun. Again, we're in constant contact about it. We've got a group chat. We talk every Sunday about it, and we're trying to meet in person monthly just so we can take care of the big conversations and whatnot. And I'm currently working on my end, I'm working on a website for it because it's just going to be a huge platform, so it requires a website, and I cannot wait for us to be able to officially begin advertising it or mentioning it on our respective shows. We're all podcasters, so we all have shows that will be discussing it on eventually. But yeah, so keep it here. If you haven't given a follow yet or a subscribe, go ahead and do that. That way, when we get to the point where we are starting to talk about that collaboration work that we are doing, that we are able to, they're able to hear about it as early as possible. I just think that'll be a great thing to begin sharing once we are available. Did I spell entrepreneur right? E-N-T-R-E-P. Yes. News. There we go. Cool. But yeah, so that's exciting. That's keeping me a little bit busy right now. Still applying for new jobs, of course. And I mentioned, I think on Monday, that recently I was, got a no for a job that I really wanted. And I talk about here all the time that, no is a natural part of the process. And, it's, how do we work on finding ways to handle the no's better? A lot of times we can get a no from a hopeful perspective position that, we were really excited about the process or the prospect of. And sometimes the initial reaction is to kind of just be upset. And I mean, it's an understandable kind of letdown, because especially if you've had a lot of contact with this group, your hopes get high, right? And you want to allow yourself to be optimistic. And then when you get the no, it's kind of like, should I allow myself to be optimistic anymore? Should I just be more practical and even sometimes pessimistic? But that's not the healthy thing to do, because it puts you into this kind of rut where you kind of want to stop trying. And that's never effective. That's never healthy for us to do. So I've mentioned it on here before. The one thing I always do is, if I get a no, and it's from a position that I've spoken to the team at length about, and I've gotten to really vibe with the individuals that I would prospectively be working with, then one thing I always try to do is get some kind of feedback, because you always want to know, okay, what was it that kept me from being that person for you this time? And I think we could always use a little bit of feedback, especially if we're open to it. That way we can find, if it's something that we can work on feasibly, why not know what that is? Why not learn about what we can do to better ourselves, and you may not always get the feedback. And if you can't get the feedback, honestly, in my opinion, that says more about the prospective employer that just told you no, as opposed to yourself. If you're able to retain the professionalism and maturity to be told no, you're not good enough for this job, but still professionally inquire about some feedback, how can I build myself up better so that I can be that prime candidate in the future, then to me, that says a lot positively about you. And if you can't get the feedback, then that says not so positively about that company. Thankfully, I did get feedback. It honestly just came down to slight differences in experience. They said otherwise it was just a really hard decision. They really enjoyed talking to me, and I'm working with them more to see if there's another opportunity. So fingers crossed for your boy. In the meantime, This show is still going strong. It is the 28th of October. Halloween's on Monday, and we are officially going 4 weeks strong with this show, acting as a morning live show, which is really exciting because, again, I think I mentioned on the first episode of this show as a morning show, I did not think I'd get to do something like this so early with the podcast. So the fact that we are here and we are doing it this way is very, very exciting. I'm really enjoying getting to engage you guys in the morning. It's really, really awesome. All right, so moving into another headline I saw this morning. This is going to be courtesy of the Morning Brew morning newsletter. Not sponsored, but, Morning Brew, let's talk about it. But it's regarding Mr. Musk. And the title here is Musk expands his empire. And it reads, Elon Musk, the richest man on the planet, is the CEO of the world's most valuable automaker. He heads up a $125 billion aerospace giant, and as of yesterday, is now the owner of Twitter. So according to multiple media reports, he closed a $44 billion deal last night, less than 24 hours before today's 5 p.m. ET deadline. He began his reign as chief twit. Wow. I'm not sure if that's a compliment or an insult. By unceremoniously firing at least 4 executives, including CEO Parag Agrawal, who was reportedly escorted out of Twitter's San Francisco headquarters. Okay, sounding a little Prince Philip-y here, just saying. Musk is expected to address anxious employees who might be worried they'll face the same fate as their former leader. We'd understand if you can't believe this deal actually happened, because the journey has been more circuitous than a flight from NYC to Chicago with layovers in Tokyo and Istanbul. So what's happening now? So begins Musk's attempt to, in his words, quote unquote, help humanity by trying to turn Twitter into a common digital town square, which I kind of thought Twitter has always been, without question. I never kind of didn't see Twitter as a place where pretty much all news congregated at some point or another. And also, Twitter happens to be one of the more fun social medias. If you know, you know. Just saying, let's be honest about it. We know that Musk has an ultra ambitious goal for the company, or several ultra ambitious goals for the company. He wants Twitter to earn 5 times its revenue by 2028, supercharge the subscriptions business, and turn Twitter into a super app called X. Just X. But murkier is the path he intends to take it to get there. He's already sending mixed signals about his intentions. One, he previously described himself as a free speech absolutist who's railed against the site's content moderation policies, like the ones that got former President Trump banned from Twitter. But he backtracked from this stance yesterday in a note intended to soothe advertisers. Musk wrote that Twitter, quote, obviously cannot become a free-for-all hellscape where anything can be said with no consequences. So we'll see what happens. Again, I think the bigger concern on my part about that just happens to be that, Twitter, again, is one of the more visually fun platforms. Again, if you know, you know. If you don't, you're living under a rock. Just saying. So yeah, that grabbed my attention this morning. Thank you again to the Morning Brew morning newsletter for that article. But yeah, so that'll be interesting to see what happens with that platform. Again, I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever not thought Twitter to be not some kind of common digital town square, like where everything kind of happens. Let me know in the comments. Do you think Twitter has at some point not been that? Because again, that's been my entire perspective of the platform since, forever. And I've had a Twitter since, Lord, high school. Wow. I've had a Twitter since high school. I mean, if I'm correct, Facebook was pretty big at one point and coming off of like the MySpace era. But I think even compared to Facebook, Twitter has been like the place to be for the most part. And again, MySpace for me was back when I was in maybe sophomore, junior-ish year of high school. So that's between like, good Lord, 2009, 2010-ish, right? So I can't imagine Twitter hasn't been a digital town square that whole time. That's the only vibe from it that I've truly ever gotten. But if you think otherwise, let me know in the comments. If you're on YouTube or Podbean, be sure to hit up the chat there and give me your thoughts on that, because again, my perception might be a little bit different, but that's what I always thought Twitter has kind of always successfully been. Before we hop into our submissions this morning, if you've ever wondered how you can submit your stories, your questions, or your office gossip for consideration and conversation on the show, you can do so in a couple of ways. We have our own Reddit's community called Tock Office Gossip. You can submit your story there. Additionally, you can head on over to casualbabble.com. There is a page called Submit Your Story, and you can submit your story there. My admin will let you know on both platforms when your submission will be used for the show, so keep a lookout for that update. If you are looking to have any changes made to any submissions you do send into the show, be sure to do so by midnight before the date of the next show. That way I can consider any updates. Sometimes we submit information and want to kind of edit it post facto, so just be aware of that. Also, if any submissions for the sake of time are not able to make it into the show, then they will be included in the advice column section of the monthly Casual Babble newsletter. The last one went out, I believe it was last Thursday, so the next one will go out 3 weeks from yesterday. So let me just pull up a calendar so I can give you a hard date on that. So let's see your calendar. Yesterday was the 27th, so 3rd, 10th. So on November 17th, Thursday, November 17th, the next monthly Casual Babble newsletter will go out. If you're not signed up for it, be sure to do so. Head on over to casualbabble.com. Right below the main picture there is a sign up form called Sign Up and Keep Up. Name, email address, submit it there, and you'll be on that mailing list. Also, if you are a current supporter of the show, either through Buy Me a Coffee or Patreon, you will also be included in not only on all videos on the channel, and a kind of a thank you screen card listing all the supporters, but you'll also be included tier 2 and higher on Patreon in the newsletter, as well as an awesome supporter, in addition to the benefits you get as a patron, where you get early access to content. Again, the latest ASMR episode will be made available to the public today. It's been available to tier 2 and higher patrons since Monday, and then the latest vlog will be made available to tier 1 and higher patrons on Patreon today, and will go live to the public on Tuesday. Would have been up yesterday, but there was a kind of a internet outage, so I was not able to upload it, but it will go live for the public on Tuesday, November 1st. But again, it'll be available for tier 1 and higher patrons on Patreon starting today. So check it out. Again, those links are already going to be in the chat, so check those out. But yeah, so let's head into our submissions this morning. Let's see here. So the first one we have this morning is titled, Does Your Boss Tell You What to Say During Meetings? Okay. I guess my boss has never been a manager before, and he's not the worst, but he'll tell me what to say during our team meetings, which I find weird because I know what I've been working on, and to be honest, I'm not really working on that much. When he shows me how to do tasks, he'll explain the steps in a gazillion times, even though I didn't ask him to repeat it, and I'm always doing the same thing anyways. Should I just tell him that I know what I've been working on, or I know how to do this task? Honestly, I would just say, maybe try to find a way to inquire. Is there a particular way you want to kind of, and try to avoid terms. I guess saying like, is there, asking why they're kind of helicoptering or micromanaging may not be the best way to go about it, but because essentially it sounds like they kind of are micromanaging, and it doesn't sound like you need it, at least not at the moment. So I would just maybe before meetings be like, hey, I've been working on these things. I know what to report. Is there anything you want me to mention in particular? I wouldn't want you to have to worry, make it seem like it's in their favor, right? Word it kind of like, you don't want them to have to worry about reporting too much. I'm going to be able to handle my part of the reporting during the meeting. You should not have to worry about it yourself. But if there's anything in particular you want me to make sure I include, I'd be happy to include it in my reporting this morning. Something like that. It may not be that he's just not good at maybe he is new to managing, and maybe he just wants to make sure that all ducks are in a row. He has all the T's crossed and the I's dotted. But yeah, just converse with him. Converse with them. Again, I'm always about being super communicative, even to the point of being annoying. But hey, at the end of the day, no one can say I didn't ask the question, okay? I'm always talking about it, so let's be sure to do it. The next submission is labeled or titled, Boss Showed Up to My House Weirdly. Not sure I like that. Okay, so essentially, I work for a security risk management company, and I've been doing this for around 10 months now. I came out of uni, not sure what that is. I wasn't sure what to do, and someone I play sport with asked me to come to work with him. I'm going to assume this is someone who's not from the States, because I feel like I should know what uni is, but I feel like that's also not an American term. Anyway, I digress. I told him today I was WFH. Yep, I don't think this is American. Anyway, I ended up blocking myself out of my work account when I started and asked him to reset the admin password. About 30 minutes later, he replied saying, "Not happy, need to talk," and then told me he was coming to my home. I still live with my parents because I said I'd speak with him tomorrow when I planned on coming into the office. I can't help but feel that this is a bit of a breach of privacy in my own personal space. When I said this, he said that if you choose to work from home, it is your place of work and not your personal space. This seems very intrusive to me. That's because it is very intrusive. It is very intrusive. It doesn't matter if you work remotely. If it's part of the job offer, then if you're working remotely, if it's a remote job, it does not change the fact that your private address is still your private address, and that anyone should still be requesting permission to come to said address and should not feel entitled to simply show up. Now, if you're in the office, that's different because that is a communal workspace. Your home is not a communal workspace. So this is very intrusive. Have an honest conversation about this, or it looks like the goals or the boundaries here are not properly set via this individual. I would say you have the room here to have your boundaries set properly. It is your home. It is not a communal workspace. So if that seems to not be easily understood yet, which I don't see how that's possible, then you should set it. Not a boundary that should ever be crossed unless you're hosting some kind of work party at home, or like they did back in like the 50s, where you'd have your boss come by for dinner to get a better feel for you as an employee, which is still kind of confusing to me. But yeah, we're not in the 50s anymore. You're not expected to have your boss and his wife come over for dinner. So make sure those boundaries are set. That is very intrusive. And I personally would not know how I would respond to that, because that's a very out of left field, and I would definitely 100% not be very comfortable with that. Okay, so next submission: what reasons would an employer have to offer a starting salary that is much higher than requested? So I recently interviewed and received a job offer. For this role, the starting salary is $88 a year. Love that. And requires 5+ years of relevant automotive digital marketing experience. I have 6+ years of luxury auto marketing experience, so you meet the bill, but not in digital. So there would be a learning curve, which was brought up during our interview, but the hiring manager mentioned he wasn't too concerned. I requested $97,000 and I was expecting an offer between $90,000 and $95,000. However, they got back to me with an offer of $110,000 a year. Love that. What reason would the hiring manager offer more than what I asked? I'm not sure if this is imposter syndrome making me second guess myself, but the fact that they're offering me a much higher salary makes me wonder if the hiring manager's expectations are too high, or that the workload might end up being more than what was discussed. Honestly, if they're fair and ethical, they have a scale that they use to come up with your salary. And here's the thing, they may also have experienced a growth in funds, whether or not it's via sponsorships, or they are experiencing higher than usual traffic with their marketing campaigns with other clients. So it might simply be that they are able to offer more. And again, you have 6+ years of luxury auto marketing experience. And even if it's not digital, that's still a lot of experience to bring to the table. And I don't know if you mentioned if this company in particular is luxury, but if it's like regular automotive and you're bringing luxury to the table, that's kind of a game changer. So it might simply be that one, they've come into a higher level of funds or budget for this role, so they're able to offer higher. On top of the fact that you have this higher tier relevant experience, and they're able to simply offer it for you because it's feasible and they can tell that you're a worthy candidate being brought into the mix. Additionally, imposter syndrome. I'm so happy you mentioned this, because imposter syndrome is the devil. It is 100% the devil. And if you don't know what imposter syndrome is, it's essentially whenever you have this kind of prospect of going into something bigger and better, or you have ambitions of doing something bigger and better. And imposter syndrome is that little voice in your head that says things like, who are you to be trying to be this big thing? Who are you to try to have this huge ambition? Who are you for thinking you should be allowed to have this kind of success? Because everyone else does it, or like you're brand new, you shouldn't be thinking that you should have the space to be big or something like that. That's imposter syndrome. And when I tell you, it's been hitting me super hard these past couple of weeks, because one, again, I have this big collaboration that I'm working on with other coworkers or other associates that I think will be huge. Or I'm also, I got the show that I'm trying to build up and allow it to be this big thing so I can, launch my business in the future. And the imposter syndrome for that has been horrible. I'm sitting here at home every day thinking, why am I trying to be this big person? Is it stupid for me to have the ambition where I want to be able to have a company and facilitate this awesome productive workspace where people are happy to come in on a day-to-day basis? I'm having those thoughts constantly, and that's the imposter syndrome. It happens all the time. And I've had only a couple of instances where I've requested a certain income and they've offered higher income. And I've been like flabbergasted. And here's the thing. I think imposter syndrome not only causes you to question whether or not you are worthy of taking on this big number of an income, but I think part of it is also when you get offered a higher income, it kind of makes you question whether or not like you mentioned, the higher income also comes with higher expectations, in the sense that, wow, we've discussed that I have these skills, but they're offering me this. So are they thinking that I can do all this X additional amount of stuff that we may have not have conversed about yet? But it's natural. Do not let it get you down. Do not let it make you freak out. It's an awesome offer. Again, you're bringing some really good stuff to the table. So yeah, and they also might be wanting to make sure that with your experience, they are able to provide you an incentive to retain you for longer, so that might be another reason for the upkeep or the uptick in the salary offer. I say take it. You are bringing a lot to the table with that luxury marketing experience. I'm sure that's not quite as common as you think it is. So I would definitely take it and just see where it goes. Nothing should come negatively from that. But I believe in you, so you go do it. Go take it and see where that new job takes you. All right, next submission is titled, Would I Get Fired If I Ask My Manager Out? This is a gray area. Okay, so though others would argue this is a black and white area, Let's delve into it. All right, so I work in the restaurant industry. I'm a new employee, and I've started developing a bit of a crush on my manager. He's close to my age and is just very charismatic. I'd love to get to know him more, but I'm afraid I could risk my job. Thoughts? As much as I can definitely empathize, having been in several situations before like that, where I've definitely had a very attractive, charismatic someone who's above me, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Like, I get it. I totally get it. I get it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I think one of my first stories on this show ever has been about how something scandalous happened when I too was in the restaurant industry back in the day. And yeah, a couple of people, one supervisor and a coworker, got to know a little too much about each other, and it resulted in both of them getting fired, and both of them getting really in deep trouble with their individual long-term relationships that they both already had. Granted, it sounds like you are both single, so that's not a factor, but still, my suggestion is don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Like, honestly, it's like, if it's also like one thing to potentially consider, I suppose, is whether or not you're just in this job like as a brand new like kitchen worker or host or whatnot, and you wouldn't mind the prospect of potentially having to move to a restaurant across the street so you could date the person at this job. I wouldn't go for it right away for sure. Here's the thing, and I'm trying to be very delicate about my response to this, even though I'm pretty sure I'm not doing a very good job about it, is look for opportunities to get to know individuals, maybe like a mixer, if there's some kind of like work mixer or work party event type deal that'll come up. But from the get-go, my suggestion is, don't do it. You could definitely be fired. That's the main question. Could you get fired? Absolutely. Especially if your decision to get to know him better is definitely one-sided. Granted, if they're a cool person, they'll say, I appreciate it, but we are at different levels here in the sense that we should maintain a certain professional relations and not delve into that kind of relationship because it's not against policy. It's not feasible, yada, yada, yada. So I would definitely just kind of take a step back, admire from afar, or at the very least, firstly, get a job across the street, and then ask them out and see what happens. But yeah, I would say for the moment, abstain from it, even if it sucks, even if it's not ideal. Because if you need this job, let's not go out of your way to kind of sabotage it right yet. Give it some time. Let's see what happens, but not right at the moment. Let's not do it right at the moment. Okay. So next submission says, or titled, what is diversity and inclusion? So I noticed that every company has a DEI statement when I'm applying for jobs. Does this mean that they are intentionally incorporating or considering race in the hiring process? If so, how much does race matter? So that's not really what that's not what it means in the sense that one race will have a lot higher chance of getting hired than another one will. It's kind of the opposite of that. The point in saying that they have these DEI statements, and let me just make sure I got like the proper thing here. So, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's letting them know that everyone, regardless of ethnic background, skin tone, gender identity, sexual orientation, all those things are irrelevant, and that they provide everyone, regardless of which category they fall under, with an equal opportunity to be considered for an employment, which essentially means that if you happen to be a person of color, if you happen to be black, if you happen to be gay or transgendered, or even just not just a woman, but if you like, regardless of your gender, race, sexual orientation, identity, you will be given free, equal consideration for a job. That's what that means. So no, if you happen to be, essentially, if you happen to not be a cis heterosexual white man, do not have any concerns about it, because they will provide you the same opportunity as you would be if you happen to be a cisgendered heterosexual white male. So that's what that means. I hope I cleared that up, because I think I got a little convoluted there for a second. But yeah, no worries about that. It's just to let you know that they are working to facilitate not only a fair hiring process, but also a fair and productive work environment. Here we go. So next submission is titled COVID. Here. I've been off work since the 17th. They said I only have 7 paid leave. Damn it. All right. So I've been off work since the 17th. They said I only have 7 paid leave days. They have pressured me to come back. My head hurts. I don't feel good. And I have a mild fever and a wicked cough. I'm scared to get fired, but I really, really don't feel good. What should I do? My question to you is, when was the last time you got an update on your COVID symptoms? Are you still technically testing positive for it? If so, all you should have to do is provide that to your manager. Let them know, look, I'm still testing positive for COVID, and we're supposed to facilitate a healthy work environment. So me coming into the office when I still test positive for COVID is clearly counterproductive and counterintuitive. Also, I would engage, are you able to do any kind of work? If they're hardcore pressuring you due to those 7 paid leave days, or that limit of 7 paid leave days. Also, see if it's possible for you to go into the negative. So a previous job of mine, you could actually go into essentially negative paid leave hours if the occasion called for it. So say you had technically 16 paid leave hours saved up. So that's 2 work days. But due to a complication, or you got sick or something like that, you ended up having to go down to like negative 10 paid leave hours, which would be like another day and some hours, right? Then you could do that. So see what the policy is on that. And of course, obviously if you're sick, they'll have to figure out a way to offset your typical daily workload for the sake of making sure that things get done. But if it's COVID, again, COVID's not fun. Miss Rona's not a nice person. So let's make sure we're not bringing that into the work environment. Definitely get tested again if you haven't gotten tested since on or before the 17th. So you've got a good gauge of what's going on. And if you happen to be testing negative for COVID and it just seems to be like you need a throat lozenge and maybe some Tylenol or Dayquil, consider those as options if you can take those. See if those will help clear up those symptoms, and you can at least work remotely if the job is feasible remotely, or if you can at least come in for a few hours a day. But yeah, see what those policies are, if there's some leeway there, because again, we don't want to not facilitate a safe workspace, which means we don't want to purposely bring COVID into the workspace, and which would result likely in many more people having to go home. Okay, so final submission for this morning is labeled being called a racist because I'm a disabled vet. Okay, let's delve into this. Short story, Short story, I'm a longtime watcher, so this is my first time submitting. About 2 years ago, I was called a racist by a white guy. I am too a white guy. Now it happened for him to do so. I work night audits, and that night I got a call from 4 rooms saying there was a loud noise coming from the floor. So is this like a hotel or some kind of apartment complex? Sure enough, as the elevator door opened, I could hear music from a room at the end of the hall, which is about 60 feet away. With the door closed, I walked over and knocked on this door, and after several times of knocking, he finally answers and asks what I wanted. I informed him that it was after 1 a.m. and that quiet time was at 11 p.m. Sounds like an apartment complex. And that I could hear music from the elevator. He looked at me and said, "So it's my room and I can play my music as loud as I want." I reminded him he was in a hotel and others are trying to sleep. If he could turn it down, that'd be great. Then he looked right at me and said I was racist because I wouldn't let him play his music. Not sure how that works. I looked at him stunned and restated the hotel policy. Then he said I was a coward and that I would probably dodge the draft. He thought he did something there. To which I replied I was not born at that time and I was a disabled veteran. He said, "See, you are racist because you're a veteran and you probably still shoot me if I don't listen." I'm confused as to what's happening here. So fine, I will do it and I will complain to your manager about the threat to my life. The next morning, he checked out and pointed to me to my relief saying that I was a racist. He pointed to me to my relief saying that I was a racist vet and I should be fired. Nothing came of his threats though you may all like hearing about how being a veteran means you're a racist to your own skin color. Yeah, I'm not sure what that was about. Wording was a bit off there for sure. That seems to... Yeah, I'm not sure how that would have come about. Granted, again, I've been there before in hospitality. I was a concierge for an apartment complex, and you do have quiet hours at a certain time. I think it was also 11 p.m. for where I was working. And either they could turn down the music themselves, or I will happily call the cops. Ask me if I was the concierge that cared. I was not. I was not the concierge who gave two shits. So if that's the game they wanted to play, I'm happy to play it, and I was typically better at playing that game. Not sure where the race part comes in. That does seem very confusing, like, especially if you're both white. So I'm not sure how that came about, but I'm at least happy that you're still good, and that person seems like hopefully they'll never come back. Fingers crossed. All right, thank you so much for joining me this morning on Casual Babble. Again, it's Friday. Congratulations on making it to Friday. I hope you have a great work day and that your weekend coming up is going to be fun. At the very least, it's nice and relaxing and you get the R&R that you deserve after a long week of work. Be sure to hit back here on Monday, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Eastern time for the next episode. And again, if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, which will be coming out on the 17th of November, on Thursday the 17th, be sure to sign up on casualbabble.com. And if you're looking for ways to support the channel, the Patreon and the Buy Me a Coffee links will be in the description on YouTube, so check it out. This video will be available immediately after the stream. Additionally, again, my ASMR video will be made visible for the public today at noon, and my latest vlog will be uploaded and made available for tier 1 patrons at noon today as well. It'll go live for the public on Monday, Halloween. So again, Tuesday, November 1st. Again, hope you have a good day, and I will talk to you next